This is Gene Pack, classical music director at KUER, the FM station of the University of Utah. We're going to bring you today a performance of Johann Sebastian Bach's The Art of Fugue with Marjorie Becker-Genove at the piano. And this is a new edition made by Eric Vaughan. I'm here with Eric Vaughan and Marjorie Becker-Genove today. Eric, tell us, to start off, why a new edition of The Art of Fugue?
Well, a few words of introduction. The Art of Fugue was originally begun probably in June of 1747 and completed in its first version by 1748 March. Later in that year, it seems that he did extensive revisions on the work, and then in 1749 in March lost his sight. Apparently he was preparing the work for publication, and perhaps some of the engraving for the publication was actually done before his death. But the work wasn't finally published until 1751, almost 8 months after his death at Easter time. It was republished in a second edition in 1752, and that was all that was known of the work. It was a very error-ridden text, almost amateurish in its engraving, some of it very chaotic, and with a lot of duplications also in the score.
Could we ask, how does your version differ from the ones that we know?
Well, a year after the discovery, or a year after the publication of the work, the autograph was discovered. The autograph, it's a partial autograph. It lacks 3 of the pieces that were finally included in the published version. But the autograph is markedly different from the first edition in the order of the pieces. And the autograph suggests very, very boldly that Bach intended a series of compositions, 21 in number, most of them paired. That is, with the first number with the theme. Marjorie, I wonder if you could play the theme for us, the original theme. In the second unit of the original version, that is the autograph, the theme was turned completely upside down and is as follows. The existing autograph seems to be, for the most part, a workshop. It includes a complete 8-unit piece, and then there are additions to that. The rest of the autograph itself suggests that he used it as his first draft section. After studying the work for many, many years, I began in 1942 and finally completed by 1956 the new edition. And in that, I took the hints from the autograph as to what his intentions were for the final version. So my version actually is derived primarily from an investigation of the autograph and with some hints from the first edition and an effort to I might call it a sequential reconstruction of the work. It's radically different from all other editions. One of the things that I would like to point out is that when the final version was developed, that is my version, the number 1 is not number 1, but turns out to be number 8. And number 1 actually is in 3/2, a theme almost exactly identical to the original theme. This theme is extremely simple, as you can tell. It is combined with other themes in the work, some secondary themes and some tertiary themes. Among the secondary themes, in Contrapunctus 7, a magnificent Cantus Firmus fugue, you have this magnificent subject. much more highly characterized than the original theme, but it makes a superb companion to it. Then in Contrapunctus 13, the secondary theme shows up again, this time quite different in character. It's based on, derived from, I might say, from some of the material in the previous Contrapunctus. This is Contrapunctus 13. Now this is immediately turned upside down. The secondary theme appears again in number 18 and number 19 in its rectus form or direct form as follows. I think you can hear that that is derived from the secondary theme in number 13. Now it also appears inverted, that is in the inversus, as follows. Finally, in Contrapunctus 21, a theme which is very similar to the one in number 7, an extended chase line theme, a kind of serpentine theme, is heard. Bach was very impressed, I think, with the character of his name, B-A-C-H, which is B-flat A, C, B in non-German nomenclature, and he used it to close the work, although it appears in a rudimentary form or a kind of disguised form earlier in 18 and 19. It appears in 21 very boldly as B-A-C-H. This also is heard in inversion. As I began work on the edition, I noticed several things about it which later became criteria for me in the developing of my order. The first thing was that I felt that the work evidenced in the autograph a plan to present the contrapunti in an increasing order of complexity. So the order in my edition follows exactly that. It is increasingly complex imitatively, not so much contrapuntally as imitatively. The second thing was that I noticed that chromaticism seemed to infect or seemed to almost swamp the later and more complex works. And actually with the canon number 17 and the two contrapuncti 18 and 19, the entire texture is awash with chromaticism. It is the most powerful climax in the work and immediately precedes the serene finale. Now, the most impressive thing after working out the order of complexity and also the order by way of increasing chromaticism, I noticed that there was a direct thematic transformation between number 6 and number 16 in the work, so gradual that one can see from contrapunctus to contrapunctus, one can feel the very gradual changing. It's almost alchemical changing. 17, 18, 19, and 20, being the conclusion of the work and the great climax, present themes which are markedly different and very, very highly individualistic. At any rate, the most important part to me was that the work should be an entirety, a wholeness that I had missed in the first edition's order, which is very, very defective. Marjorie, when you worked on the preparing of the performance, how long did you work?
I examined the score for about 4 months and began playing it in May and performed it the first time 7 months later.
Where was that you played it?
That was at Indiana University.
Was the performance successful there?
It was very well received. The people were very convinced by the order.
Good. And then when did you perform it after that?
I performed it on Bach's birthday.
Oh,
in Salt Lake
21st
City.
of March in 1985, yeah. Yeah, and how was it received then?
Again, it was very well received.
Was that, that was played on a Bösendorfer, as you used for the recording which we'll be hearing today. Which instrument did you prefer, the instrument that you played on in Indiana or the Bösendorfer?
I would say the Bösendorfer.
Oh, good, good. Glad to hear that. And then I believe you've done it one more time now.
Most recently, I performed it in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Yeah, that's at Pittsburgh State University.
Yes.
Yes, and what kind of instrument did you play it on there?
That was on a Kawai.
Uh-huh. And was that quite a successful performance?
I thought so.
Oh, good, good. And today we're going to hear the performance on the Bösendorfer. And the one other thing I wanted to ask you, is this the largest work that you've undertaken?
Yes, it's about 70 minutes long.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that comes close to that length that I've studied.
Did you find it very difficult to work on?
Yes, I had to work on this piece in segments because of its complexity.
Working out the fingering was very difficult?
Yes, I had to write everything in.
Well, thank you very much, Marjorie Becker-Janot. This is Eric Vaughan.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Marjorie. Now let's hear the performance, Eric Vaughan's edition of The Art of Fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach, played by Marjorie Becker-Janot.